let us now proceed to have the talks without much ado. Now let us start with the talk by, as mentioned earlier, retired IAS officer Mahesh Zagade ji is a retired IAS officer. He has served the Maharashtra government in several different high capacities. He was principal secretary of various departments, and he looked after several different key aspects of Maharashtra government. One of those responsibilities was organizing the Nashik Kumbh Mela. After his retirement, he has worked for multinational companies also, and he enjoys spending time with the students, youngsters, and guiding them, giving them motivational talks. You may find his website. If you Google for his name, you get his website where his talks and his interactions with students and his motivational ideas and all are shared. So it is such a good luck for all the youngsters and students to have the direct motivational experience shared by such a senior officer with such a long and deep experience at such a high level. Over to you, Shri Mahesh ji. We are eager to hear from you how you were able to handle such a big event so successfully at Nashik. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nagra Patoriji, and thanks all the panelists and viewers for having me here. And good afternoon to all of you. It's really wonderful when I went through the agenda of today's symposium. It covers all the aspects of spirituality and management and all that. I hope this becomes a good compendium, good vlog for the future generations and, of course, the contemporary audience to understand what is the spirituality behind Kumbh Mela, how it originated, the genesis, and how it is going forward even in the 21st century. I have also seen that most of the topics are covered by other speakers regarding the religiosity and the dynamics of that is behind the Kumbh Mela arrangements and such event arrangements. So I will not get into that. I will straightway walk into the management aspects of Kumbh Mela. For me, this was an accident. In fact, when this Kumbh Mela was to conducted, it was scheduled to be conducted in Nashik in 2003. I was posted as Deputy Secretary at the Secretariat of Government of Maharashtra in Mumbai. Suddenly, I get a transfer order from Deputy Secretary in the Secretariat to the Collector of Nashik. And the reason cited was that the then collector, my predecessor, was selected for an international training in Syracuse University, and he was to leave. Now, the Kumbh Mela was just 1 year, 1 year around the corner, and the officer, the Kumbh Mela officer, and the collector, both the jobs combined together, he was getting transferred. When I was asked that you should go and join there, I was taken aback. It was 1 year's time frame to understand the issue, to control, to get into under the skin of all the aspects of the management of Kumbh, and in fact to understand the whole thing, and that also not as an independent job, but while conducting your day-to-day duties of as a collector and district magistrate, you were to conduct the Kumbh Mela. But in government, you are not supposed to say no to anything. And when you are given the marching orders to any place, you have to go. And I am one such officer. I never refused such assignments. When I landed in Nashik 1 year before the Kumbh Mela, that was 2nd August 2002, exactly 1 year before the Kumbh Mela. And the main paroni was of Kumbh Mela 2003, that is since the Kumbh Mela of Nashik, was to happen on 27th August of 2003, just 1 year. When I landed there were too many things happening. And like any other officer, one is supposed to understand what is there on your plate and how big the plate is, how complex the plate is. When I tried to immerse myself into the aspects of Kumbh Mela, it was humongous, very large kind of assignment. Apart from your day-to-day job, it itself was a big task that any officer, and that also in such a short time frame, one has to conduct. Let me be frank with you. Like any other management expert in the business or academia, there are set rules, regulations, business tactics, business principles. But in Kumbh Mela, everything is different. It's not that what is taught to you in the business schools or management schools is different. It has got no written rules, no written formulae about how it happens, how it goes. But it is a different ball game altogether, different ecosystem. And that ecosystem has got two important interfaces. One is government and another is religion. And these two interfaces work in tandem with each other. And that is supposed to work. When I started digging up the aspects of Kumbh Mela, it was very interesting. This event, and as I always call it, mega event of this planet, such a large congregation of people coming from all parts of the world, of course, India mainly, but they come from abroad also, Nepal and other countries, Sri Lanka also, some of them. But this is the largest congregation that one can expect. And that happens so frequently, every 4 years, and people do come. And it's like, if one looks from what angle it differs, it could be even a nightmare. It's a management nightmare if you consider these two interfaces, government and the religion. And nothing in between, because for the management in business, what you look at is the profit and how much the counter is going to get as a dividend. So that is the only motive. But here you have to manage the thing which is completely unknown. The customers are unknown. The customers are like they come there very frequently, but they are not like controlled by anybody or not regulated by anybody. And therefore, it was a new experience for me. Of course, I had little experience working in a multinational company before joining government, and I had certain principles of management imbibed through my career, although very shortly career in a multinational company, because I had migrated to administration. That's a different story. I had migrated, but I had at the back of mind some principles of management and quality control and quality checks. So that was a big strength for me. When I went there, in fact, reluctantly, I was posted there reluctantly. Myself, I joined it reluctantly because in 1 year, if something wrong happens, then all the blame is going to be placed on the collector. And if something, some good happens, governmental officials who do it, nobody bothers about it. But I decided that I will do it. I will do it very scientifically. And I will see that nothing wrong happens. And I will also try to limit all the activities in such a manner that everything happens in a clockwork kind of schedule. So these two principles that when I decided myself that I will see that nothing wrong happens. Secondly, everything will work as a clockwork, go as a clockwork. And third and most important aspect was that nobody shall be put to any inconvenience at all. So these were the three aspects which were around which I designed my plan for making preparations. Unfortunately, the plan, especially the plan for infrastructure development, was already in place. Had I been there, it could have been different. But I had to inherit that plan, which was prepared by my predecessors and which was already underway. And the funds were coming for that. And I had to somehow complete those infrastructural aspects of it. But then there were certain infirmities, I would not say flaw, because to comment on somebody's planning, it's everybody has a different point of view about planning. Had I been there, I would certainly say that it would have been differently planned. But I could tweak a little bit here and there and nothing more, but I had to implement that. Second challenge was about the funds. Today, when we talk about the Kumbh Mela of this city, Prayag, and too many things, they talk in terms of 1,000 crores and 2,000 crores and all that budget. My budget was very small, 448 crores, which is tied up. Mainly, the budget was given to municipal corporation for infrastructure projects like sewage treatment and road department, public works department, all that. So I was working on a very shoestring budget. But of course, I mean, whatever you can't, ask for, funds are never sufficient. If you start asking for funds, there will not be any limit. But I had decided to limit whatever is budget allocation was there and to conduct Kumbh Mela within that budget. I started preparing, and for the preparation, I thought that it's a better idea to have some kind of management tool. For such an administrative work or event management work, there cannot be any quality management tool. But since I was in research and development of a multinational company, we had normally they have some quality control measures, but in research and development, you can't have really many these quality control aspects or management aspects. I somehow recalled my working with Six Sigma, and that tool where only 3.4%, only 3.4, not percent, 3.4 mistakes can happen in 1 million or 10 lakh. So I thought that why not to use this particular central idea of Six Sigma while making preparations and while conducting Kumbh Mela. And that thought I mulled over, I worked on it, and created a plan how to make use of Six Sigma loosely for planning and implementation of Kumbh Mela 2003. Once that I started taking shape, then I divided the whole parameters of Kumbh Mela into different activities and created a document on the basis of which all the departments, all the officials, and all the stakeholders were to work exactly as per the plan so that nothing wrong happens or nothing gets delayed. And when the actual Kumbh Mela takes place, everything shall be in place and there should not be any room for any mishap. So this was the loose idea which I put on paper and started developing the whole plan. Now, while doing that, there were demands from sadhus. And sadhus is a different community. It's not like they understand. They may be understanding it, but like what common people, like we have rules, regulations, and all that, they are far removed from such a like day-to-day life of normal citizens. But they have their concepts, their ideas, rightly or wrongly. They are somehow they are taken through the ages in these traditions. So we have to go with them, with the flow. But to marry it with the governmental regulations and rules, it was rather difficult. It was tricky. So the collector's role or the role of a Mela officer, as a role Mela officer, I had to play a very critical role, very sensitive, that not to say no to them also, and also to not to violate any rules or regulations of the government. In that case, what we did was we took help of all 13 akhadas in Nashik, 10 akhadas of the Shaiva, and 3 akhadas of 10 akhadas of Shaiva, and 3 akhadas of Vaishnavas. And we had, as a team, continuous interactions with them. I placed one senior officer as a magistrate, akhada magistrate, who would be in touch with them all the time, talking to them, what are their needs, and then getting that feedback. We used to design the whatever is required by them so that nobody is put to any inconvenience. So that really helped me in having a good atmosphere, good ecosystem like one together, and not like Sadhu and administration. Normally, there is tussle going on, demand and supply kind of thing about the when we conduct any Mela. So that was like an organic, cohesive relationship that we had established, and that really helped us. Second, once that was established, we were to look after the kind of infrastructure that was there, that was required to be slightly changed. Nashik Kumbh Mela happens at two places. One is Trimbakeshwar, another is in Nashik. And the problem of Nashik Kumbh Mela is that compared to Allahabad, it happens in a very small geographical area. For Prayaga Kumbh Mela is a vast expanse of river where the land is not an issue, the Mela site is an issue. But in Nashik, the Kumbh Mela happens within the city of Nashik and Trimbakeshwar, very small town of 9 to 10,000 people only. So it is as small as that. So, and second, added to that was another problem was it happens in monsoon, heavy rains. And during that time, this whole congregation of people is to be managed. So that aspect was at the central while making the plan. I had decided to see that the movement of these people has to be so smooth that nobody is put in inconvenience. And then we decided to create a plan so that the Mela happens in such a manner that nobody is put to risk or nobody is inconvenienced. We prepared 9 locations around the city, and where we created facilities for parking places. So all the vehicles, and we had estimated about 50-60,000 vehicles would come on any Parvani, and those vehicles in such a small town would not be accommodated. So created 9 such spots around the city where dedicated parking lots with all the facilities, sanitary facilities, food facilities, restrooms for the drivers. Everything was created, and it was created for both Trimbakeshwar and Nashik. Once that was done, the major problem was about how to get these pilgrims from the outer skirts to the inner, to the actual Mela site or where the holy dip is taken. So we had provided public bus service system that everybody will board the bus and they will be taken back there. So that problem works, that solution works so well that there was no, like previous Kumbh Melas had suffered very heavy traffic jams. But during 2003 Kumbh Mela, all the traffic was through the public transportation. The public state transport buses were collected from other districts, and we deployed those buses on the day of Parvanis within the city. So the traffic was completely smooth. Third aspect was about the cleanliness. And Nashik city, like every year, every Kumbh Mela, Nashik citizens, they used, many of them go out of city because it becomes filthy city because of so many people coming there. Nashik's population that time was about 12 lakhs. And in 12 lakhs, if 60 lakh people come in, filth is created, garbage is created, and your city actually stinks. I had decided that not a single person will leave the city, or these citizens of Nashik, and they will be given an environment where no such filth will be there. And we deployed lane by lane officials, sanitary inspectors, and conservancy staff so that everything remains speak neat and clean. That aspect was also solved. Then water supply and all these aspects, they were provided. To see that, I did not leave it to the juniors. One day, we started going around all the city. We traveled about 166 kilometers within the city. How traffic will move, how the smoothness can be done, where the garbage can be, where it can be collected, and how it can be disposed of. So all these things one has to go on foot, many places, and then we prepared all such aspects. While doing that, there were other issues involved, like in Trimbakeshwar, is very small kund is there, Kushavarta Kund, where the holy dip happens, and it's very small place, congested place. At one given time, only 200 persons can take a dip. It was too small. We had come up, we tried to find the solution to it. So we created a platform where the 5 times more people can take bath, holy dip at a time, and we increase the flow by 5-6 times more. So that was done. So all these small aspects were considered, and we created a booklet wherein every task was assigned to every person by name with mobile number, and whose supervisor, and if he falls sick, who is second in place to conduct that from the government side. So nothing was left to any eventuality, and the fallback arrangements were made. We also created sectors of entire city, both the cities, sectors, geographical areas, functional areas, where executive magistrates were given powers to manage everything there, like local units, local administrative units during Mela. So this was like as a very watertight compartments were created so that people can be held responsible if something goes wrong, and continuous drills were conducted. There were, see, this Kumbhamela, Nashik Kumbh Mela is besieged with problems all along many times, and the major problem was in 1789 when French Revolution was happening. Another revolution was taking. At that time, Kumbh Mela used to take place at Trimbakeshwar. But that time there was conflict that who should take the first holy dip, whether Shaiva sadhus or Vaishnava sadhu akhadas. And there was conflict, almost like a warlike situation, and 12,000 sadhus were killed in that conflict. So the matter went to Peshwas, ruler of Maharashtra at that time, and Peshwas heard them, and from them it was decided that Shaiva sadhus would take a holy bath at Nashik, and Shaiva at Trimbakeshwar, and Vaishnava at Nashik. That is there. But another issue remained. In Trimbakeshwar, Naga sadhus and Niranjani sadhus, akhadas, there is like, they have to go in, one after another for holy dip. But these two akhadas, out of 10 akhadas, they had tradition of going together. And then there was conflict between them. At Rishikesh, some time back, the police personnel were also had died because of conflict of these two akhadas. So that was a problem for me. Now, what to do with them? So what we did is we had a meeting of both the akhadas, chief of them, one was Saraswati, Paramananda Saraswati of Sadhu Naga Akhada, and Niranjani Akhada. The meeting started at 10 o'clock in the morning, and which lasted till 5 a.m. in next morning. That who should go first? I did not want them to go together and to create a conflict. But solution was found out that first akhada, first parvani, there are 3 parvanis. Niranjani akhada would go main parvani, that was on 27th August. Naga sadhus will go Juna akhada, and last parvani there would be like we will draw who should go first. But then this was like I'm saying this just in 2-3 minutes, but it lasted from 10 a.m. in today to 5 a.m. Next morning. So it went on, conflicts amongst them, they coming to fist fights and those kind of things. Ultimately, when this solution was arrived, they said, you give us Tamra Patra, like Tamra Patra was given by Peshwas. But Peshwas was kings. Otherwise, I tried to reason out with them that now Peshwas are, so they were kings. I cannot, as a democratic setup of the country, I cannot really get into the religious conflicts of 2 akhadas. But they were not listening. They said, no, you should also give at least something on stamp paper. Stamp paper, like, so for me, as a collector, I have no authority under which law I can say that you go first and you go next and this kind of thing. So I took aside Paramananda Saraswati, Naga Akhada chief, and told him that, see, all along you have been saying, and he was saying all along, that Dharma Satta Raj Satta se upar hoti hai. So that was well done. I said, when you are saying that Dharma Satta Raj Satta se upar hoti hai, so fir abhi, why do you want something from Raj Satta? You must yourself do this. So he somehow reasoned out, and then we created a stamp paper agreement between them, and my Tahsildar, he signed as a witness, and that conflict was resolved. So all these things happened in such a flurry that it created continuously media attention, not in the state, but across the country, that these things happen. But actually, this was happening. The times are changing. Why Kumbhamelas were created? Why the sadhus are congregating at one place every time? Different time frame, different things are happening. I, as a collector of Nashik, I thought that this is an opportunity for me to marry the Kumbh Mela with the district gross GDP of the state district, and do something about that. So I decided to not just to make it as a religious thing, but to leverage this Kumbh Mela for economic development of the district. And we created the marketing of Nashik district as a tourism district across the world. We created a tourism destination marketing plan, which in fact was a very wonderful plan. We created a big, very large poster campaign. We created films which were aired internationally, including Discovery and some of the channels. We had posters which were all across the country, and even in New York and Washington, all those places. So we really marketed it very well to make Nashik vibrant. Because of this, unfortunately, like earlier Kumbh Mela, which happened in 91, 92, only 11 to 12 lakhs people had come. But because of this marketing and because of the media, emergence of electronic media at that time, many aspects, the congregation of pilgrims exceeded our expectation. We had expected about 30 lakhs maximum on a day in such a small place. Of course, the numbers at Prayagraj are different, but at Nashik, we expected around 30. That day on main Paroni, we got about 60, 70 lakh at such a small place, and it was a nightmare for us. And then, but unfortunately for us, most of the things were managed well, except for one or two mishaps here and there. One mishap I must share with you is that on this Pavani, when I was at Trambakeshwar as a, overseeing this first Parvani, there was a very huge force of pilgrims coming towards Kushavar, Trambakeshwar for holy dip. And as I said, because of this marketing, the congregation was very large. The force was building up. Per minute, 1,000 was that was our expectation for the holy dip, but people were about 7-8 times more coming in hordes, and that also early morning. I was at the Kushawar there, and I saw that now stampede is going to happen. So it was like worried that, in fact, the thought crossed my mind that why did I come to administration if such a major disaster is going to happen? It could be like 500, 1,000 people could have lost their lives. So what I did was I just asked my police subordinates to take a reroute the entire line queue of the pilgrims and take them from 1.5 kilometers away. With that, the pilgrims got distributed, and we could save the lives. One such incident, this incident really shook me because a lady with a 4 or 5 months child, she threw the child at me that you save that child, because she thought that she's going to die. But fortunately for us, like, you have to be very careful while managing all these things, and we could save the day. And for that matter, the event at that time, otherwise it could bring a bad name. But that is not, the bad name is not just a thing. It is like saving of lives. This also came our attention that there are many dynamics within the Sadhu communities and the administration. They wanted to have facilities built by government. We, as a Maharashtra government's policy, we provided them land, developed plots, drainage system, sanitary blocks, blocks for bathing, and all these things. But some sadhus were like very vocal about provision of tents for them, or at least the chiefs. Some of them were saying AC tents and all that. It was a very difficult time, but somehow they also, when you try to convince them, have a dialogue with them, they do listen to all these aspects. And then the event was conducted very fruitful manner. This particular aspect, another interface was media. That time, after the 1992 Kumbh Mela, 2003 Kumbh Mela in Nashik was the first Kumbh Mela where electronic channels had taken over the country, all across the world. And media people from all like BBC and CNN and of course national news, they used to be there. And they used to really continuously know what is going to happen. One such thing was that on 27th of August 2003, main Parvani was to happen, Holy Dip. And there was forecast of Weather Bureau that there will be heavy rains. And Godavari Nadi, in which where this Ram Kund is there, that's where this Holy Dip happens. It will be flooded and no Holy Dip can happen. So I was like bothered day and night on how you are going to manage it. I said, this is going to happen. And they were not convinced about this. Some people started reporting that this is not going to happen. This main Parvani is not going to happen. Had very difficult time in managing media also, because small word from them and the pilgrims would go back. And that's not a good affair, because people look forward for such an event for 4 years, 12 years, and they travel long distances, and to go back because of something is getting reported. So I said that this is not there. I was continuously and consistently telling through the media that no, it is going to happen. Whatever may be the frequency of rain or the torrential strength of rain, we are going to conduct this Holy Dip without any fear or without any hurdles. What we did, there were rains, in fact, at that time, and full rains. We control the flow from a dam, which is upstream of the river beyond Nashik. And when the rain started, we closed the gates of dam and the flow was controlled in such a manner that Holy Dip could be very easy affair for all the pilgrims. And that's how I think in administration, we do not have to, like as I said earlier, as in like business management, we know all the parameters, what is going to happen and where it is going to happen, how the timeline. In Kumbh Mela, maybe it Prayagraj Kumbh Mela or Ujjain Kumbh Mela, many things are left to the unknown facets and unknown facts, where you really cannot even foresee also all those things, but you have to react when as and when the things come in. That's how my experience is. I had thought of writing a book. I have not today covered many aspects of it, because this I don't want to create any different impression about the whole Kumbh Mela. But when I'm going to write a book, I think all those aspects will be covered, which I could not, I'm not mentioning it here. So this is how, in a nutshell, my take on Kumbh of Nashik 2003.
Thank you very much, Mahesh ji. It definitely gave the administration side's understanding. Most of the audience probably are, I think, I am sure, are from the pilgrim side, and they definitely must be wondering how the administrators have been running such a big event so successfully. So from the administrator's point of view, when you explain, that gives them a great empathy towards the administration, and also a great admiration and appreciation for the hard work that all the officers like you have been putting in for organizing our proud Kumbh Melas for so long. There is a question by one Cherish Purohit. The question is Parvani the same as a Shahi Snan, Rajshi Snan? You have been using the word Parvani for so many times. What is Parvani is the question.
Parvani is that there are 3 Parvanis, like 3 Shahnans. Parvani is a Shahi Snan. Shahi Snan is like when you go and have your holy dip in the water, be it Ganges or in Nashik, in Godavari or Kushavar. So first event is like your Peshwai in Nashik, where the akhadas come and they start the Kumbh Mela. There are, of course, there are other rituals also, but it starts with Peshwai. And then there are 3 events, 3 holy dips. Now, first, second, and third. Second happens to be the main Parvani. Shahi Snan and Parvani, they are the same. Like, it's not like, but Parvani is a larger term. Shahi Snan is actually go and have a dip. Now, Shahi Snan emanates from the fact that the sadhus go in a procession. That is Shahi Snan. And the pilgrims join them. Some of them, they are allowed to join a particular akhada. And of course, other people are also take dip in holy water. So Shahi Snan and Parvani, these are the same.
If I get more questions, I'll pass them on to you, Sri Mahesh.
Sure.
Then let us proceed to the talk by. There is one more regarding food and water arrangements. Abhishek Kulkarni ji wants to know about how food and water are arranged by you at the Nashik Kumbh Mela.
See, I'll go back. First, water. Water, like for the local people, there is definite requirement of how many MLDs, million liters per day. That is the water requirement. And then we calculate the expected number of pilgrims to come on that particular Shai day. And then we provide this water through temporary water tanks at various locations. In fact, we had a very sizable budget to create these temporary water tanks at 9 locations around the city where the parking lots were there. And as we walk from or go from the parking lots towards the where the actual Kumbh Mela happens, at various locations, at half a kilometer, 1 kilometer, we had public tanks, tap water facilities there, potable water that was there. And of course, near to that was also the sanitary block. So a person who wants to drink water can drink water and also ease himself or herself there. So that provision was there. And food, there are 2 aspects of it. In Kumbh Mela, what happens is akhadas, they have Anna Chhatra. They give a free of cost food to the pilgrims coming. And that's how it happens in a very large scale. We had roped in Food and Drugs Administration from many other districts and kept them in Nashik, trained them how to keep the quality, because in large congregations, quality of food suffers, and we were very particular about the quality. We also had meetings with the canteens and the restaurant owners and the hotel owners about the maintenance of quality. That time, we also created facilities for those who can put up stalls, food stalls, private food stalls there, so that they can cater to the pilgrims. And of course, certain packets were also, we had requested some, there is a large industry in Nashik. We had meetings with them, Association of Industries, and we requested them to get the food packets, which could be distributed along the road, fruits along the road, drinks like soft drinks along the roads. So that was huge, like the response was huge. That's how it was done. And we could really do it. In fact, I must tell you, one these akhadas spent on the food themselves. One day when I was sitting in my office in Nashik, collector's office, the State Bank of India manager came rushing to me saying that there is one Sadhu and he wants a cash of 7 crores. Now, in 2003, cash of 7 crores from a branch of a Nashik was like a big thing. I said, okay, if there is like account, money is in account, you might as well give him. He said, no, there is some rule that like a collector's signature is needed if the amount exceeds so much, and if it is in cash. I was a little taken aback that I have never heard this kind of provision. But then I said, you asked that whether this such a huge amount is there in his account. He said, yes, he has an account in Delhi, and there are about 86 crores of rupees in his account. So he was withdrawing 7 crores of rupees for free food to be distributed. This was just one sadhu. So there are many such people there. So food is not a problem at Kumbh Mela, but the problem is of how to maintain quality, hygiene, and cleanliness. And we provided lot of attention to maintain quality. In fact, I must tell you, when Kumbh Mela happened, as I told you earlier, people used to migrate from Nashik because of stinking city. In 2003, next day when people started walking on the streets, nothing was found on the streets. Streets were cleaner than the normal days. They were maintained so clean. And because of the staff deployment and the management, at that time we had worked out. So this is how one has to do it.
Next question is about hygiene. Nidhi Katti is asking about how the hygiene is maintained, that you have already answered. And there is another question about sanitation arrangements also. How such a huge amount of number is managed for sanitation, sanitary arrangements? How far are the sanitary places from the actual place of water?
So sanitary, we had a two-pronged approach. Number one was that how many public sanitation seats are available within the city and around the city, be it governmental guest houses or the facilities like primary health centers or the other governmental offices where actually the sanitary arrangements are available. Then we borrowed, and we actually, some of them were purchased and some were hired, rented out the toilet seats, mobile toilet seats all around. They were in such a humongous number that some of them were just lying that time because of the number. And the water supply facility was provided because in any city you have this fire, fire, when there is fire, some arrangements were made. But let me tell you a very interesting thing. In fact, we connected through the normal water pipeline, major water lines. We took out the outlets for giving supply to this temporary mobile toilet seats also. So that was done. And fortunately, in fact, this particular aspect was reported by the BBC also, that how wonderfully city can be conceptualized as a clean city during such a large congregation. And this report, probably, if it is there in the public domain, you can also watch that.
Next question is from an international traveler. He wants to know from you how he can approach authorized people to approach authorized organizers. He wants to visit the 2025 Kumbh Mela. Is there any guidance for international travels regarding authorized organizers?
See, let me share this with all the audience and especially international travelers. This is not organized by anybody. As a tradition, people come together uninvited. Nobody invites them or nobody conducts them. It happens. So it is in the category of it happens. Like you go to visit some international tourist destination. Say, for example, if you go to Paris to say Eiffel Tower doesn't invite you, but you go there and then see it and then enjoy it. Just like that, Kumbh Mela also, you go there, you have a holy dip, and if you need any support, like say staying arrangements or transport arrangements, they are very well organized during Kumbh Mela. In fact, the hotels there during Kumbh Mela, we had requested the hotel association, this is a business time for you, but you should not jack up the prices that time. And that time they listen to this. And we also keep this in public domain, that how many rooms are available, where these rooms are available, how far they are from the main event, how to travel there. But this is like any tourist place. You don't have to approach any organizer. You have to go there as a tourist.
One question is personally about your mind, state of mind. How can an officer like you can manage that state of mind? How you can maintain that coolness and state of mind? Is it in inner balance, or you have any special practice to maintain that coolness in such a pressure event?
See, it works both ways. You have to have, like, as an officer or as a person, you have to always maintain your honor illness, and especially when you're in government. And when you're in government and very proactive officer or proactive person who's taking on the system, then it inner coolness you have to maintain. But I would say other way also. Okay, other when I say both ways, Other side is that the Kumbh Mela teaches you how you have to be cool. Now, see, during that time, the collector is so busy. He has to conduct day-to-day affairs as a collector and district magistrate. You really cannot miss them. You have to conduct them. And simultaneously, you have to also look after the management of Kumbh Mela, which is a humongous task. It's day and day and day and day night. So you have to maintain that. But it really takes toll on your mind and your body, and that also forces you to start thinking internally, and then you become stronger. Let me tell you, I was weighing 72 kgs that time, but because of the stress and all these things, I lost about 8 kgs of weight just 3 months. So it is that stressful, but that stress really makes you stronger. At Parvani, second Parvani, that is main Parvani, I did not sleep for 53 hours continuously. Now, you have to be in the field continuously, not just, but you're walking in the water. Sometimes what happens, you have to yourself, as a collector, I had to go in the water to control the crowd. So you have to, and then that builds up your, like a coolness, your strength of mind. And then it's like also sense of achievement that you are doing something which is serving the people. It comes automatically. So you don't have to do really different that to strengthen mind, do whatever job you are doing, you do it with, like a passion. Your passion becomes your inner strength. So that's how I have learned. I am not doing anything else like meditation or anything. Of course, Kumbh Mela also taught me how to keep this stress at a bay. And like any other officer, my blood pressure would have gone up. I could have attracted sugar, diabetes, and all these things because of the stress and all that. But I decided not to do anything. I started jogging in the evening after everything happens, 12 kilometers a day, which I am still continuing. So that jog really strengthens your mind, sharpens your thinking process, and keeps the stress away. So this is how you have to do. It's not like you have to do any great things. It's a normal routine. Everybody can do it.
This was from Raju M. Thakkar, and there is a follow-up question from Bhanumukti. Did you experience any divinity during that time, stressful time?
Dignity.
Divine.
Divinity.
Godly,
Oh, I
yeah,
see. I
God.
see. See, for me, like I had a very simple relationship with the divinity. And what is that? Very simple, and that's for a long time. In fact, when I was doing my research for post graduation, since then I have this particular aspect of divinity. Like if there is some divine power, and if it is so divine and so all powerful, that power must be watching you day and night. So you have to be careful while behaving yourself. You cannot do anything wrong. You cannot be harming anybody, and you have to be right only. So that divine power is watching you. And if that power is not there, then you are more, in fact, you have more responsibility to behave properly. So you have to be like, as if you are you have to control yourself so that nobody is there to look after it. So this is a simple thing about divinity. But as such, like somebody would say that I felt divinity. In fact, let me tell you, share with you, I was so engrossed into the work, I could not take bath even at my home also. Forget about bath at the Ramkund or Kushawar, on all these three Parvanis. You are so engrossed in the work. So that itself is a divinity for me. Like, engrossed in the work rather than your personal gain is a divinity. That's all. Divinity doesn't go beyond this for me.
Wonderful. So now, I think thank you all for audience for your wonderful questions.